It doesn't matter how many followers you have. It doesn't matter how many interactions you have. People are not waiting for you, so don't expect them to be waiting behind their screens of their computers to buy a ticket to come to one of your events. You really have to.
Melanie, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
I was Googling for female entrepreneurs in Antwerp. That's how I found mompreneur.
Okay.
But that's not your business.
It's not my main business. I'm an event planner, an outdoor event planner with my company Mel Events.
Have you always positioned yourself as an outdoor event planner?
Absolutely not. When I started as an event planner, I thought I want to do everything. I just want to organize parties. I want to help people. I want to take away all their concerns and their worries. It was also my pitfall because people don't really know what exactly can I hire you for? What exactly do you do? Because it's so broad, it's so wide. And then I thought, I have to choose a niche. I have to choose a specific type of event planning business to differentiate myself in the market.
You have to niche down to blow up. That's a very common phrase in marketing. So you did exactly that.
Exactly. It was actually an easy decision, and still it was very difficult to make because you have to take into account a lot of factors. I have a young daughter, for example, and now I always had the excuses of I want to be at home in the weekends. So all those excuses were good enough to not choose that niche. But when I let those excuses go, it was very easy for me to get aligned in my communication, to get aligned in my social media, in the message that I'm sending out. And now people know what they can hire me for. And it's very easy to give them more information about how you work, what you do, what's your added value, because you focus on one specific aspect. And it actually makes your work easier when you choose your niche.
So you were brave enough to niche down. That implies having to say no to even former clients. How are you dealing with that?
When I started my business, I said yes to everything. And afterwards, I felt disappointed sometimes because I took an assignment that wasn't really in line with what I stand for. And now I really learned to say no because for me, quality is very important. It took me some courage to say no because you lose revenue. You have to say no to an income. But if you have a lot of worries, if you don't sleep, if you feel like you're completely stressed out because you cannot perform the way you should perform, and it also helped me to narrow down that niche to say no to clients because you're very close to your core and you're very close to who you are, what your business stands for, and the message you want to send out.
How crowded is this niche in Belgium?
In Belgium, you have a lot of event planners in the market, but there are not many people focusing specifically on the outdoor event sector because it's very technical. If you're planning a party in the forest, you don't have water, you don't have electricity, you don't have straight paths to walk, you don't have a car where you can stop with all your stuff. It takes a lot of kilometers to walk back and forth. So you really need to think about your planning and you really need to think about those difficulties to make sure that you don't forget anything and that the details are on point at the end of the day when the event starts.
And is that also then your brand message of go out?
The slogan of my company is having outdoor parties without any worries. And that's what I really like to do. I really like to help people that they don't have to worry. If you are getting married, you don't want to think about the fact that the generator doesn't work and you don't have any electricity. You don't want to think about the fact that you don't have cold drinks. You want to skip that and give that to your wedding planner. And at the end of the day, you want to have an awesome party and you want people to talk about it for 10 years later and they say, wow, that was the greatest party that we ever went to. And that's what my goal is.
How much thought are you putting into your branding and your online branding particularly?
It's very important to be consistent with the kind of pictures and the style that you provide, but I'm not an expert. And I always listen to my gut. My gut is something very strong and very important. It doesn't really matter how you come out. It's the fact that you come out, that you present yourself, that you tell your story, not only the story of your company, but also your personal story. Who are you? Because you represent, your company represents you, and those two are so much connected with each other. And that's something that I really try to focus.
It's very good to know your identity, because only in that case you can communicate it to the external world. How did you manage to craft your own identity?
I think it's a combination. It's a combination of the course I'm following at the Chamber of Commerce, the different educations that I followed. Also, networking is so important. I have a tribe of women, and we truly support each other. And that's how you really get to know yourself. Because if you never lose, if you never have something that you're like, "Damn, I shouldn't have done that in a different way," or you don't get to know yourself, you really have to make mistakes to know what you're good at. You really have to make mistakes to learn from and to make sure that you don't make those mistakes anymore in the future. But a tribe and some partners in your surroundings really helps you to endorse each other, because maybe you have a writer's block and you're like, yeah, I'm not really good at writing and I don't really know how to handle this. If I say to you, okay, that post you posted on your Instagram from May 1st is awesome. It's really well written. It's honest. It's on point. Maybe it's easier for you to believe when I say it to you. You will always be critical for yourself. And sometimes it's really nice to receive some love from somebody else and to learn how to love yourself. And I think the tribe is really something that I want to promote to everybody. Find yourself your tribe. It doesn't have to be friends you've known for 20 years. It can also be a business partner. It can be a colleague, a co-worker, someone who's in line with you on the way you want to do your business, and someone who is honest and not afraid to give you advice, even though it hurts. Getting advice from other people is always helpful to get.
And what is your current challenge or next big milestone that you're trying to reach?
My biggest challenge is business development. I will be honest. I've always done a job in sales. For me, selling wasn't difficult, but now you have to sell yourself. It's just so much more difficult to sell yourself, to sell your message, to be consistent. I've never realized that doing business development would be so difficult, because you always have to keep on informing. You have to contact new people. You have to come out with new ideas. You have to think outside of the box. And I think that is really the most difficult part of doing business. Even though I'm a salesperson, it still gives me a lot of sleepless nights.
Yeah. It's funny, isn't it? That actually the thing that we're both most trained in seems to be the hardest to do for yourself.
It's crazy. It's really
Maybe
crazy.
it's that self-critical voice. I don't know.
I think also we're a little bit too critical for ourselves.
Probably.
Because we set the bar so high for yourselves.
And which misconception would you like to tell other female entrepreneurs who are starting out on marketing and branding and selling?
The most important lesson I've learned is that people are not waiting for you. Even though you really believe in the service or the product that you're selling, it really needs a lot of hard work every single day. It doesn't matter how many followers you have. It doesn't matter how many interactions you have. If you have a launch of an event, for example, people are not waiting for you. So don't expect them to be waiting behind their screens of their computers to buy a ticket to come to one of your events. You really have to persuade them in a personal way. And that's why networking is so important. A lot of people have bad feelings with networking because they feel it's intimidating, or they like, I'm not sure if the corporate network events really fit with my product or my sector. There's so many ways you can go out and do our networking. You can contact people by DM on Instagram and invite them for a cup of coffee, for example. It's more important to have one close to you that believes in what you are selling than to push it to 1,000 people that won't buy. So you really need to have patience. You really need to work hard, and you really need to be consistent in the way that you communicate. And that's actually, for me, it was astonishing that when I started Mompreneur, the reactions were very positive. And people in my environment, they were like, it's a really good idea. I support you. I want to come to your events. And then you launch your calendar. And then everyone's like, I can't come. I already have some activity on that day. Or it doesn't really fit with what I'm looking for. And then you're like, oh my God, I'm organizing something for people that are not waiting for me. But you should not let yourself get pulled down by that, because it should give you energy to keep on pushing and to find that right persona, that niche that we were talking about. There are people looking for you, but maybe they just haven't found you. So you just have to keep on going and keep on presenting yourself and keep putting yourself out there, online, offline, in a small group, in a big group. It doesn't really matter. That's the best advice, I think. If it's intimidating for you to go to a network event by yourself, invite someone to come with you. So the fear should not be a limit to the things that you do. Very powerful.
What's the piece of advice that actually would have really helped you?
Pinterest is actually a very good source for your personal branding. So if you're posting a lot of things and you look at your feed and there's no consistency at all, it looks like crap. I don't want people to look at my branding like this. Start a Pinterest board with any kind of photography that you like. It doesn't have to be in your sector. It can be architecture. It can be a clothing brand. And that can help you to find a certain line in your branding. It can help you to look for that right filter. How do you want your feed to look like? And Pinterest is a miracle. It's a platform where you find so much information. Just be aware that there's a lot of fake on Pinterest, of course, and don't compare yourself to those Pinterest photographers. But it can be very inspiring. If you have a writer's block or if you have a posting block, it can help you to find some new inspiration and to find a new energy to brand yourself and to get out there.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's absolutely a great idea. It's really the visual identity to create that. And now you already talked about value-based identity. With that, you recommended having a tribe.
Tribe, it's so important. It's crazy how a lot of solopreneurs are working at home or in a co-working space alone, working on their business, and they're like stuck here in their tunnels with the job that they're doing. And sometimes it's just so nice to have fresh ideas, to just think outside the box, because you don't see it anymore and other people look differently at you and your business than the way you do. So it can be very helpful to have a tribe who feels comfortable sharing, because that's important. You can have a tribe, but you have to share, and you have to share to them, and they have to be you.
You need to be able to be your authentic self, and that you can share your vulnerabilities with.
Exactly.
And the mompreneur community, what's the dream?
The main idea is that you can share your thoughts, you can share your struggles, you can share your tips and tricks, maybe. And I also try to connect it with an educational aspect, because we can complain about the fact that being a mompreneur is hard, but if you don't get the tools to do something about it, you will never change it. And that's what I really want to go for, that people leave a network event and they're like, I'm inspired, I have connected, and I have learned at the end of the evening.
It's a very clear story.
Thank you. Well, it took some time to be where I am now. You really have to be patient, but you'll get there.
So 3 kinds of people have to reach out to you. First, the corporates looking for amazing outdoor events.
Correct. Correct.
People who have a party
in an outdoor surrounding.
And just don't want to worry.
Yeah.
And then the mompreneurs in Antwerp and beyond.
Well, for now, it's mostly people from Antwerp, because I thought, let's start local.
How do people find you?
You can find me on Instagram. Of Mel Events is Mel Events Antwerp, or my website, mel-events.be. And for mompreneur, it's also mompreneur Antwerp or mompreneur.be. And I'm not really corporate in like, dear madam, just send me, hey Melanie, how are you doing? And let's have a cup of coffee.
And with those words, we ended the conversation. Now, if you too find yourself in a very crowded market, then you need to niche down to blow up. It's very scary, I know, and it's also super hard to do. But I made a video for you. It's called Find Your Why, and with the knowledge you will get by answering the questions that I'm asking in those videos, It will help you to find your niche and your talent. So go to my website, kirande.com, and there you can ask for the library key. Free of charge, you get immediate access, and I hope it will help you. And if you're still struggling, then you can find me on LinkedIn, send me a DM, and I would be happy to help you. And if you're still watching, then please like and subscribe, you know the drill. Thank you, bye!